Welcome to the lesson on naming geometric figures. The learning target is for you to understand how to name different geometric figures. By this, you need to name different geometric figures properly. The core concept, these are your undefined terms. There are three of them. A point. A point has known dimensions and it is represented by a dot, and with its letter, you could write it as point A. If you just write the letter, it doesn't make sense. You have to make sure you write point A. A line. A line is a one-dimensional object and it is represented by two arrowheads because the line goes on forever. It extends forever. There's two ways to label a line. One, it's with a fancy letter like this L, which is like a curvy L. They say it right here, line L. Or you could write line and you pick two of the points. And here the point is AB, so they write line AB. Or they can pick line BA. It's essentially the same. The symbol for it is just the two letters with the arrow head going both ways on top. A plane is a two-dimensional object and it is represented by a floor or a wall and it extends without end. You can write it writing the word plane, then the letter M, because here it stands for this whole plane, or you could pick points. In this case, there are 3 points here, A, B, C, so they put plane A, B, C. Hopefully you understand how it's written. A point requires one letter because it's no dimensions. A line is one dimension, so it required two lines, and a plane requires two letters, and a plane has two dimensions, so it requires three letters. There are certain things that we also have to know. Fourth, a line is made up of a segment, so you could write what a segment is. A segment stops, so it doesn't have an arrowhead. If you look at the line, it goes on forever to the left and it goes on to ever to the right. If you take out the arrowhead, it becomes a segment, but it's written the same way. You could write this as segment AB, or you could write it as AB with the line on top without the arrowhead. Likewise, the ray has one endpoint and an arrowhead on the other side. Think about ray as an arrow. You could write it here as A. You have to always start it with the endpoint, so the point that has no arrowhead all the way to the one that has the arrowhead. So here you could write it as A, B, or if it flips, you could write it as BA. But again, it has to start off at the endpoint. Lastly is for us to learn how to name angles. This is the very important part of this lesson. An angle is a set of points consists of two different rays that have the same endpoint. So if you look at the image here, we could see the endpoint here as A. This is the endpoint. The endpoint is also called the corner, which is also called the vertex. The rays are the sides of the angle. So the first ray here is AC, if you would like to see it, is one of the rays, and the other ray is AB. Now we could name this angle in certain ways. You could name it using the vertex. In this case, you could call this angle A. You could use the points here, and it's going to require 3 points. So you could call it B, goes to A, then C. That's what the first one is. So you write the angle symbol, BAC, or you can go to in the opposite direction. You can go from C, A, B. Or you can use a number. If the angle here has a number, like number 1, you could call it that way. Please understand that there are interior parts of the angle, which is on the inside right here, and there's the outside. of an angle. So let's go over the example on how to name it. A lighthouse keeper, which is right here, which is on the vertex, measures the angle formed by the lighthouse at point M towards 3 boats. You're going to name 3 angles shown in the diagram. The first one, we could call it J, right here on this boat, JMK. That is one of them. Then we could also call it, there's another one called K, which is from the middle, M, L. Then we could call it the bigger one, which is J, M, L. Notice in all of these, the M is in the middle. Why is that? The reason why is because M is the vertex. Okay, notice that. So be very careful. Technically, can you call this angle M? The answer is not 3. Can you call this angle M? The answer would actually be no. Because if you call this angle M, you don't know which one it is. Angle M can be this one. Angle M could be this one, or angle M could be the entire thing. You don't know. That's why you have to always use 3 letters if possible. Now I would like you to give this a try to name 3 of the angles. I gave you one of the answers here for number 2 to help you out. So pause the video and give this a try. The first one, you could either call it angle PQR or RPQ. Number 2, I already gave you it as XYZ or angle ZYX. There's also a letter here, so you could say it's also angle 1. Lastly, there's a letter here, so you could call there's a number there, so you could call it angle 2, or you could call it angle FED or DEF. That's about it, but I would like to show you how a problem would look like in Delta Math. In Delta Math, let's look at this problem. It says to identify EFA by clicking and dragging the small arrow dots shade for that angle. Let's look at EFA. So E is right here, right? So we start at E. So we could start from E, then we go to F, right? Then we end up at A. So you should see it here. Submit. Yes. Watch as it shows it goes from E to F down to A. That is that angle. Okay, it's gonna probably do it again. E, F, A. That is how you find the angle. Okay, that is the angle of EFA. Okay, so make sure you know how to name an angle. And that is it.